again. And thank you for the opportunity to be here. I want to thank the organizers of the EMP, Nelson Okuna, and the extended team, Deborah, Bellu, and all the other people who invited me to be here. I would like to take an unconventional path to some of the stuff I've been teaching. I usually come and just give charge around different things, but today I like to be a bit, I want to teach you something pretty hands-on that would be helpful to you in your career and endeavor. Now, it's a lot of slides, but I will just focus on, I'm going to run through quickly and just pick a few areas that I feel are important to help us. And then I'll take it up from there. So I'll just quickly share my screen. I call it some fundamentals. That's the title I gave it. Let me share my screen and then we'll take it up from there. I am unable to see all the participants, so please bear with me if there are important dignitaries here that I've failed to observe. I'll just stand on all existing protocols and take it up from there. So once again, I'd like to thank you all for having me. Before I start, I'd like to give you some kind of caution on my facilitation style. I'm a very unusual facilitator, and the reason is because we live in a world where there's so much knowledge there. There's a lot going on. We're not getting as much results as we are investing. There's just a lot of activity, a lot of noise. But I'm sure you can hear my voice and you can feel my energy is a bit low. My energy is low, and it's because I'm exhausted. And why am I exhausted? I'm exhausted because I have more work than people to do the work. I'm turning down opportunities in millions of naira. I'm shunning very important people. There's just this sin. There's just this sin under the sun. And the sin is young people are sleeping, watching Netflix, and the adults are working to their graves. You know, every government office I go to, every important parastatal, the boss is the last person to leave the office, whether he's the owner of the company or he's just the CEO or an MD, hired. And the young people don't seem to get what that means. The price that some of us paid, the likes of Nelson. I still remember when Nelson was a youth corper. I think I'd already written a book already. The rigor, the sacrifice, the hard work. There are no young people willing to put in that work. And they will now go and be forming songs like adulthood is a scam. It's a scam to them because they are, forgive my French, they are blessed lazy. I wanted to say bloody lazy. They're lazy, I disagree with Barry on 101 things, worst economy in a long time. But frankly speaking, Barry is absolutely right. Nigerian youths are pretty lazy, and it's not really Nigerian youth, it's just the youth generally. And you're like, why is this guy talking like this? Because I asked Deborah, she will not be tired. And she said, no. So I'm trying to get you awake. So I say things that are borderline provocative to get your attention so that you don't sleep on me. But I'm just also telling you the truth. It's very unfortunate. How can I be turning down projects in millions? Nelson called me the other day, was negotiating, and the money was in millions. I told him I'm not available. I'm not interested. I'm not available. He was running up and down looking for people to do the work. So that's why they put in the sacrifice to put this program together. And I'll tell you something, except you are like Joseph, that God is cooking. Cooking meaning he decided to send you to prison. If you are not earning, it's at your own beck and call. You have the powers to apprentice, to intern, and to build your competencies to make whatever you want to make out of your life. It's really in your hands, I'll tell you. Except God, they really put a what they call that thing, a lien on your career and says, I don't want you to go anywhere because I'm a spiritual man. I believe God can slow you down for strategic reasons that are beyond him. Say, oh yeah, go to prison, go to pit, go. But that doesn't happen to everybody. Most times, even when you're in prison and pit, you're supposed to be the number one man there. You're supposed to be living an excellent life. So young people and old people, everybody, I'm sure all young people, we're all under 50 here. Most of us, I believe. And if there aren't, no discouragement. Biden is over 70, Joe Biden. So I think the whole argument is we have to wake up, right? The challenge we're having, though, is that some of us don't know what to learn. So I'll start teaching I'll teach a bit of critical thinking. I'll digress and teach something else. Then I'll share my thoughts with you on what I think will be helpful for you to build your career. Let me say something. You see, one of my colleagues, a gentleman I mentored, who's very brilliant now, is charging me 1.5 million naira now for work. And I know when he was paying any 60,000 naira. The gentleman said something. He said, YouTube is criminally underutilized. He used the word criminally underutilized. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't go to university, but you know where to find the right things on YouTube, you'll be better off than someone who went to spend 4 years in university. Any course, I repeat, any course. So there's just a prayer for wisdom. You just need to pray. There's a prayer of wisdom. For those of you who pray, right? The kind of prayer you should pray is that God should give you access to the types of resources you need. You see, what we think is prayer gives us breakthrough. Well, frankly speaking, it doesn't replace the work. You have to do the work. The grace is to do the work. But God is not lazy. You understand? When he made Adam, he gave him work. And, it showed clearly he's not lazy. And if you look at the design of the human being, if you look at, the science around the whole competencies of the universe, the oceans, the ecosystem, the habitats, the universe, just the design and makeup. The person that did it. I mean, scientists are supposed to be the brilliant people, the nerds, and they're studying the outcome and the product of somebody else. So that means the person that created is extremely intelligent. I mean, think about the Nobel Peace Prize, astrophysicists, biophysicists, or bioastrophysicists. There's now a mix of everything, bio and people trying to study life on Mars. Like all these guys combined, you understand? They are studying the one who made it. So the one who made it isn't lazy, and you now claim you have a relationship with him. So how can you then be lazy? You understand? So there's an evil under the sun. Old men are working hard, excessively. I mean, I was there, one of the commissioners doing some work, Lagos State governor, everything. And the one is leaving the office at what? 8 p.m., 9 p.m. And forgive my French, I don't want to say hurtful things here, but packing their bags, and I look at you. Where are you in your career? You're going home and your boss is still in the office. So, I mean, I want to challenge us this morning to, my worry, and Nelson, you're on the call, I'll be worried. I'm telling you, my worry is that maybe we are the ones wasting our time. Maybe the world is going to collapse to a point where when everybody's too serious, we are the serious ones that will lose out. These lazy ones will get away with it because all they see is two-faced files, and they think that is the picture of, even those guys are running to us at night and Nicodemus to tell them to structure their businesses for them. So it's a convolution of sorts that we have to address. So I know I'm not your typical facilitator like I want you, and I'm talking like this so that I connect with you. I'm not trying to deceive you. You understand? There's too much. I mean, you turn on YouTube now, somebody's teaching this, or Facebook, someone is teaching this, someone is doing that. There's so much knowledge, but there's no depth. There's no outcome. There's no competence. And what is competence? Competence is knowledge, skill, and work ethic for a particular role at a particular time. So let me give you some roles I'm filling. I'm looking for a human resource manager in a very big company. This person will pay up as much as maybe 650, 700, 800, depending, right? Net. I'm looking for a chief transformation officer in another company. This one's like en route to being a CEO. I mean, can put some money on the table. The client is flexible. The client is desperate. And I'm already dreading that experience. Some of you are probably following the political landscape. Who just won the APC primaries. What's going on now is that people are, listen to what's going on. There's a bit of confusion. And the confusion is I'm being very down to earth, and I'll pause and before I start my class. I didn't plan for these things I'm saying, but I want to just connect with you before I start. So the candidate, APC candidate, you know who he is. He's a Muslim. And the debate now is, they're tempted to put a a Muslim ticket, which some people are saying will not be a good sell. And the reason why they are struggling is because of the Northwest and so on. But the argument is, even if you say, okay, you want a Christian Northerner, the field is not looking pretty attractive. There is no, when the Bible says, and Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and favor, it's a stature. We don't have that. Yeah, SGF, respectfully speaking, he's all right, but I didn't know him before Buhari. I mean, some people knew him, but I didn't. You don't. Some of you don't. So we don't have men of stature, across board. And that is what capacity does. It doesn't just stop at, and that's what competence is. It doesn't stop at being in your own cocoon. Sometimes it's also rising up to a stature. Now, I know the stature that the Bible may have described may be physical. I don't know, I may be wrong. But for me, I think the stature is brand. is, his reputation. And all Israel knew that Samuel would be a priest. When you look at some people and the profiles they built, you just say, Alex Ekweme, Achechebe, Chimamanda, that's stature. It's a different conversation. What they're doing is Chimamanda is a writer. What is a writer? Hey, that's big. Yeah, I know it's big. But if you tell your children that they want to be a writer, they'll first put you on when you write. Go and sit down here. Most parents in Nigeria don't understand the value of those things. But it's not so much of the fact they write. Even AY, the one that does AY Live, what is he? He's a jester. But he has stature. Two-Face. What's Two-Face? Two-Face is an entertainer. Those days growing up, in the village square, people come and entertain you and you throw money at them. That's what these guys are, fouls. But they have stature. I mean, look at, you go and build a product, a whole MTN, invest billions, bring experts, do market research, pay Nelson and his cohorts, everything, knock them out with work. When they finish, who will go and sell the product? He's the one that didn't go to school. With baby mamas all over the place, with all due respect. So the point is that this thing is stature. So it doesn't stop at competence. And when you're filling a role, you also need stature. You don't just stop at, you can do my Excel, you can do people. No, do you have stature in the place of where you represent? And that's what Joseph had. That kept making him predominantly the leader. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know this is not what you're expecting, but I forgive me ahead if I offended anybody with my comments and my mentions. Maybe Boss Mustafa is your cousin or your brother or your uncle or your even your dad. Respect, because he's in Abuja now. Abuja people are powerful, so I'm not sure who I'm. But please, I'm just telling you my frustration. I'm telling you my cry. I mean, if I had young people I train, I'll give you people work. Like, there's work. Nelson, tell them there's work. There's work. This one is not there. We're waiting. There's work. We're dodging work. When there's someone sending work and you're dodging, you're looking at your phone. You don't want your phone to ring because you don't know. You don't want please. You don't want any new project. Not that you don't want God for breakthrough. You know what you're looking for, right? We know the kind of breakthrough we're looking for, and we don't need to get it, except we'll take prayer requests at the end of this event. But what I'm saying is that we know the kind of work we're looking for, and we are saying young people rise to the occasion, and that is why the visionaries of this program, of course, putting us under a lot of pressure. I almost canceled my show, but I just said Nelson is a brother, and Nelson is just too much. I love him dearly. He's an unusual human being, and when he places a demand, I have to respond, right? And that's why I showed up. But frankly speaking, I'm running away from anything that looks like work. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll stop here. Deborah, did I offend you people? I hope I'm not disappointed you already. Like, you want to off me and remove me from this group? Is everybody listening? Because the place is dead silent. Let me take comments and feedback first.
You did not disappoint us.
The information needed some quietness.
This is marvelous.
Okay. So you're not wasting your time, EMP, and I forgive you ahead. I don't do all those swearing and all that, but I forgive you ahead if you drop out, and I wish you best. You can't afford to just take this for granted. Don't. It's. I really give kudos to Nelson, and all the organizers for the investment, the personnel. They've been at this for a long time. So, but I'm telling you my own reality, right? So, I'll begin my class, and I'll just talk about a few. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me change my location. All right, sorry everyone. All right, so I wanted to just, I don't know how much time I have, Deborah, but I want to pick some, because I may not come back, so it's good when you always give a chance. When you get given a chance, you just take your shot on a particular issue. So I would like to talk about, I would like to talk about, I'd like to look at some fundamentals, and let me see if I can fix the thinking. I talked about the work ethic, the attitude, which is one of the things I just said now. For documentation, I can't go into it, but I'll give you nuggets and ideas. So typically I tell people that when you start your career, you can start as a generalist. Who is a generalist? Let me switch on my video so maybe you can connect with me. Maybe that'll be better. Just give me a second. All right. So I was talking about you guys still here? Deborah.
Yeah, we're here, Tarfa.
All right, thank you. So I was saying,
I'm with you, sir.
All right, thank you. So there are, if there's anybody here who is confused, maybe you want to make a career shift, you see some of the great work Nelson is doing, and all the other amazing people on this call who are facilitators, and those who are already senior, and you're like, I really like something, because people are different. Like, I'll tell you that you can concentrate, you can start up as a generalist. Who's a generalist? Now there's this other one they mix up with, which is the business analyst. The business analyst is hot, and is also a generalist in a sense. That's the level consultants start from, which is like level 1 before they now become consultants. Because a consultant means you have an opinion. You have the capacity to recommend. I mean, people will carry their savings, their pension, their investments. Companies about to commit millions of dollars, and then they ask you as a consultant to advise them. So before you get to that kind of level, you need to know your left from your right. But let's say you're still young in your career, less than 3-4 years experience. A good point is be a generalist. And a generalist has 3 competencies: thinking, documentation, and execution. Somebody can call to me and say he wants to write a pitch deck. I can charge them like 2 million naira for that exercise. That would take me like maybe a week and a half, if that's the only thing I'm doing. And so on and so forth. Now, I'm talking like this not to brag, because I'm not trying to brag. Frankly speaking, this is not an audience I'm trying to impress. The audience I want to impress is Reid Hoffman, Mark Zuckerberg, Jack Dorsey. Those are the people I want to impress. So I'm trying to talk to you so that you believe, because I don't have a public profile. I'm not, I don't want to call some name so you think I'm jealous. I'm not some people this guy's coming, shut downtown. We're not celebrities. We're not retail celebrities, right? So I have to tell you some of the reasons why I have the authority to what I'm saying, so that you believe me. Because Nigerians like magic. So they like the superstition, like drama. So no problem, I'll give you drama. If I tell you go and dip yourself 7 times in River Jordan and your leprosy will clear, you will not hear. You don't want it. What you want is carry chicken, do like this, run around, wake up in the night, put your leg in water, jump 5 times. That's what you prefer, right? And it hasn't given us any results, right? We're still the poverty capital of the world, but that's the digression. Where I'm going is thinking, documentation, execution. When I say documentation, I just told you one, pitch deck. Okay, there's one I usually write a lot: concept note, everything. How to solve, create 5 million jobs, bring concept note. Some of you, it is concept note that will give you an appointment. You can ask Nelson. Nelson has using so many concepts, all his jobs, concept notes he has been getting to bring. Nelson worked. I'm sorry, I'm always using you as a scapegoat. You didn't send me on this. And it's not because I want to collect offering. That's what I'm preaching, so that I can, when he brings on to preach for you, no. I'm not, please, I'm just trying to connect with you, right? But concept notes, this is how to solve this problem. This is Lagos State government said you should bring something to clear the children out of the streets. I wanted to send the commissioner a message and say, why don't we, is it not possible every child in Lagos State to go to school? Like, in other words, if you're not in school, we'll put your parents in jail. Let's get these kids off the streets. You know why? Look at the Southeast. Everything now, they're burning people up and down. Any mob action, that's right there in Lekki, phase 1, the new capital of Lagos, or in terms of, growth and all that. And they're lynching people on Admiralty Way. So I'm like, where is this going? That means if God forbid a bad thing, he can't hit an Okada man. So if it was me or you, that means, do you know what is to destroy a talent or a resource? That's why Oyinbo man respect. They will send a marine to go and a marine cohort to go and deliver one person because they understand the value of life. What is the value of life? The value of life is just picture for a second that I wasn't available anymore and I ceased to exist. That means all the blessings, all my 14 years experience in consulting, advising 140 companies with over 250 projects will disappear. The world will be bereft of this opportunity. That's what human capital is. So everybody listening to me on this call, your responsibility is to build your capacity. So if you are starting as a generalist or if you're still in the figuring out stage, because the danger of specializing too early is that you narrow your options. And I'm sorry to get direct on that because some people may now get into a career confusion. No, I'm not. I'm just trying to advise some people, right? If you're already specialized, it's fine. Then you can quietly broaden and that's why people take MBAs. It's just that the power MBAs, they're very theoretical and they're not effective. So you go and do MBA, you come out, you cannot write pitch deck. You go and do makeup, you cannot do financial model. You go and do makeup, you cannot write proposal. Then what did you waste your money for? Took money that you should have just carried to go and start real estate project. You carry that money to go and do school. And I'm not insulting anyone here with an MBA. Please don't get me wrong. I'm trying to explain to you that there's a gap between what people are, what the industry is looking for, and what the market is producing. And for those of you who are passionate about knowledge, who want to really, really build your capacity, the problem I have most times with you guys is that you're reading the wrong thing. And I can understand you're distracted. So the wisdom and the prayer, like I was trying to give you a prayer point, is that to be able to say, lead me to the resources I need. Because they're all available. And the discipline to hang in there until I build capacity. All right? So thinking, documentation, execution. Let's begin. That's a bit about my profile, right? And then some of the things I've done. I think for me, where I am now in my career, if you want to describe my profile, I'll tell you, I've done consulting 14 years. That's not a long time. Some people have a longer career than me, but I think the exciting thing about consulting is, the thing is that I've done the same thing, right? So, get me through, Bamboo, some of you are investing on Bamboo. We did the business plan. We still got a testimonial from the founder of how accurate our projections were. I'm doing some work for Lagos State government, go to the executive council to present some of these ideas, trying to change the world. I have a startup now that's focused on human capital to solve this problem I'm talking about. We want to build a Netflix for L&D and working on that, or an Instagram for L&D, if I can say, so I'm pivoting my own career. So everything I've learned in consulting, I'm beginning to unlearn them and learn. So I'm now becoming a tech startup. So I'm also being mentored. I'm looking for people to show me the way, humbling myself to learn. Yeah, telling me my pitch deck is dead on arrival. Yeah, those are some of the things we're learning. So that's really what I've done. And but the one I've done is enough for me to say what I'm saying. And that's what I'm saying. All right. Now, this is the typical slide. And some of you who have been in my classroom have heard some of this stuff. Let me help you establish context. Let me help you establish context. So typically, there are, I call them my 3 3s, right? And what does that mean? So we all operate in a country that has an economy. That economy is made up of sectors, and those sectors are made up of industries. So Nigeria's economy has a lot of sectors, but the most prominent ones are oil and gas, public sector. Public sector is the biggest. It's the highest employer of labor. And frankly speaking, it's a charity outfit. It's Nigeria's biggest charity outfit. So what does that mean? So this is my controversial side. Please bear with me. Don't be upset. You see, we have a problem. Out of the 10 trillion naira of our budget, all the recurring expenses spent on civil servants, both at the state level and at the federal level. Most of the problem and headache of any state government is to pay civil servant salaries. So for those of you who don't understand why some governors went on the rampage to let some people go, I understand the conditions. You need to understand that. Let that sink for a while. You use most of that money. Now, let's assume you're paying them. Does it take you, how long does it take you to get your driver's license? How long does it take you to get an approval? How much do you get land papers? Is it still easy? The answer is no. So you're taking all our budget, and then you're now not, okay, let's leave that. The remaining capital expenditure, they are still the ones that sign off on it, of which a significant proportion of that is paid out as graft. Otherwise, it will not be done. I have people who have taken genuine proposals to come and say, let me do it. I will pay for it myself. I want to adopt a school. I want to do this. And the civil servants will still frustrate that effort. I have roads here. There I live in Lekki, flooded place, where people wanted to spend their own money, but they were expecting a bribe. Both the community and I'm saying this because this is Heart and Art Foundation. So they are talking about I'm giving matters of the heart. Do you understand? So I'm digressing, but I'm explaining, just a side comment. Some of you have loved ones and relatives in civil service. Pray for them. I've got to touch their hearts, he said. Because if they do their job and they release us, we'll be okay. That 10 trillion will filter through. The schools that need to be built. If you want to know, think about people like Jack Conde, Awolowo. How much did they have? Did they have as much money then as now? I don't think so. But look at the things they did. Michael Okpara and all this. They did stuff. So let's just remember. Just put that in perspective. And some of you will rise to the occasion where you'll be in offices of important people. And when you go there, you create the change. You can ask my brother Nelson how much pro bono work we are doing on the side as our own contribution. So when we come and we're criticizing, we know what we're paying. And that's not saying, Nigeria will be good and Nigeria will be better. And it will. It will. So I was saying that Nigeria's economy is broken down into different sectors. And the sectors is public service, oil and gas, agriculture, trade, buying and selling, the Dumota. What are all those markets? Gariki market, all that market, Use market. That's trade. So these are Onitsha, the capital of Aba market and so on. So these are some of the key sectors. But those sectors now have industries. Industries are so agriculture is a sector, or agric is a sector, but it has fish farming, it has poultry, it has piggery. Those are like industries. Now, in bigger economies like America, poultry can be a sector because it's that big. When you have KFC that has almost 5,000 branches, you have something else that is not KFC that's bigger. Where we just have KFC, Chicken Republic, and that's it. And for you guys, SFC. But there are big, massive, McDonald's, the largest real estate owner after the Catholic Church. Do you understand? These are economies. They get there's a big. You understand? One street in US, or maybe two, probably the size. Somebody says they can't hear me. Okay, all right. I guess you guys can hear me. Anyway, so just to confirm, Deborah, you can hear me loud and clear.
Sorry, sir.
So you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes, we can hear you, sir. We can hear you,
Please,
sir.
If there's any problem with my network, let me know. I can always adjust. All right. So I was saying that, remember, I was talking about industries, right? And then now these industries are located, they exist, and they house companies and organizations or institutions. So that's the connection, an economy to a sector, to an industry, to a company. And then the company now connects with functional areas or job description. So if you work for a company, and I won't have time to go into the details, but if you work for a company, the company operates, if you have a job description, your job description is usually and should be in the context of an organization. And that organization connects with an economy and industry. And that industry, is in a sector. And that sector is an economy. That is the connection. Even though now the global economy is connecting. So you can be in Nigeria, somewhere in Kubwa or Angwarago, somewhere in Kaduna, it's a town like that, or a city like that, or a community like that. And you're actually connected to another economy. So they're trying to bring the economy under. That's why all these people are working in, and getting jobs abroad. That also is there. But before then, before we really opened up, through COVID, I'm showing you the connection. You can see my arrow. There's a connection from bottom up, functional company economy. All right, I'm sure you guys get that. So you need to understand. So when you're working, you need to remember you're contributing to an economy. You're productive. That's why productivity is important. So you carry your bag at 4 p.m. or you're deceiving yourself. You're not creating value. So you need to get that. And people need to understand what that means. I'll talk about that later. Let's talk about the requirement. The requirement is knowledge, which a lot of us do have. A lot of us are reading good books. We have a good library. But the problem I have with you is what you're reading is wrong. You're reading books like How to Make Friends. I mean, why on earth? You don't know how to write proposal. You don't write emails. You may not really have a problem making friends, but someone just said it's a nice book. Yeah, and the person has problem making friends. And you told it's a nice book, and you decided that, hey, no, I need to read a book. No. Or you need and this is sensitive, or you're reading a lot of books about your clergyman, all the books he's written. Your clergyman has never worked in a business. He doesn't understand the nuances of an organization. And he wrote a lot of fantastic stuff, which is great. But if you don't have bandwidth, then you have to read the books that will build your competence so that you can be on the table. What puts you on the table is competence. I mean, even Pharaoh, you know how much they detest Israelites? Say this one is an Israelite, and he's even a slave. It's like saying your house help. Some of you are looking at it and thinking, some of you have house helps, or have seen house helps. It's like saying you want to marry your house help. Come to Lagos. They come and become prime minister. What type? Of course, Joseph didn't sound like a slave. But the point is, there is an understanding with respect to competence, which is the knowledge, skill, and work ethic to be on the table at a particular time. Not for your sake to make money or because I'm throwing millions around and calling. No, that's not. I didn't do those things to impress you. And I told you, it's not. I'm trying to get your attention so that if you're here and you're looking for the next survivor, you need to understand. You need to understand Okay, sorry, my light went off. I don't know if you guys still hear me.
We can still hear you, sir. We can hear you.
Yeah, so I was saying, thank you. I was saying, knowledge, skill, and work ethic. Knowledge is the ability to, this is the understanding of the subject. So you even know where you need to be. So there is this, I've forgotten the theory, but where they say, I can't lay my hands on it now, but this, you're unconsciously unskilled. And then from there, you move to consciously unskilled. Then you move to consciously skilled, and then something after that. Now, a lot of us are in the unconsciously unskilled phase. So you don't know that you don't know. So when you sit down in the night, you want to read, you want to develop yourself, you have no idea where to even start from. You're just following everywhere. Oh, programming, computer programs, what's hot now? Phew. You're running. Oh no, it's not computer programming. It's UI UX, getting design. Okay, boom, running here. Like, oh, it's business analysis. It's hot in Canada now. Phew. You don't really understand. What exactly you're dealing with. The second one is skill. Skill is, okay, you have an idea. Can you do it? Can you write a pitch deck? Can you write a concept note? Can you build financial models? Can you prepare? Can you conduct a project? Finish your research, package the report, send it to decision makers? Can you write a paper for a Chinese entity that wants to come and invest in Nigeria and they want to know whether the political climate is stable? Can you write something like that? I can go on and on and on. Work ethic is what people generally regard as attitude, right? Which is your disposition to work, and that's where I started my talk from when I was talking about the culture of young people, that some of us old people are a bit stressed. And I'm also advertising indirectly, say that I have roles to fill. And sorry, Nelson, I'm selling on your platform. I have roles to fill. I have jobs I can share. I have opportunity. Sorry?
So
So I even used to tell Nelson sometimes that because Nelson is getting busy and he's becoming a big man. So I'm telling him that if he doesn't have time, he should bring them to my platform. I'll retrain them and resell them back to him. So he should give me the crude oil. I'll process it and send it back to him. You know, one of my gifts is I know how to raise talent. I know how to create talent. So God has helped me. You know, it's a gift how to build and develop people. So the point is about the problem I have is attitude. You know, I'm very sensitive to poor attitude because most times when you're doing talent, you're giving. Let me say where it works, right? So some of you here are from the East. You know the concept of apprenticeship. I mean, you guys don't be upset and don't get bitter, but you guys were robbed during the Civil War. I mean, you went through a lot, you lost your properties. Some of you had to, and then one decree came and they gave you guys peanuts when you had assets. You know, even the richest man at one time was Ojuku's father, right? Yeah. So, but guess what? You guys came out of that mess and are technically the richest per capita. I mean, you can do it. How many times do you see Igbo people begging on the streets? Yes, they may not be as many as the people who are predominantly known for begging on the streets, but they are actually the richest per capita. And I know. Now, so let's put that one side and say, how did they do it? It's apprenticeship. I mean, one of the ways. Of course, they may have priced you. I mean, charged you 5 times the value of the product and you felt cheated. That one is there. But in terms of apprenticeship, which is you come and serve and you collect your own, and that model is still very valid till tomorrow. It's still very valid. So what I'm saying is that it's the work ethic that will determine whether or not you can hang in there. I mean, some of you don't know the conditions under which I learned, and I don't want to get into my story on this call, you know, but same thing with my brother and all the other people who are doing amazing work here. Is that stooping low? But when you have the average young person who, and God forbid, or God bless you, honestly, will betide you if your parents are comfortable. You now be deceived by that comfort, which is typically what's happening now. Most people are not, most young people, their parents are richer than them. So that flip has caused problems. So most people don't need to work. I mean, you're sitting at home with your father's car, you're driving around, impressing all the small girls in the community, and you're happy with yourself. You know, flying your collar, feeling like you've arrived when you have nothing in your head. You understand? So I think, and I'm sorry if I shoot you and you feel insulted, but the idea is what kind of attitude? You have to stoop low. You have to stoop low. Some of us stoop really low. We can't even go in on this call. You'll be embarrassed for us if you heard what we did. But that's what we had to do to learn. But guess what? The moment you learn, you will collect your own.
It's important to share, please.
I will, no problem. Do you understand? You collect your own. Right there, to be handed over to you. That's the secret. And that's the secret of the Igbo man's apprenticeship model. It is that you work and you collect your own. Bam, take. Go and start. Now, this one, it doesn't happen literally. It happens with experience. Even Nelson here, I know one small young man that worked with him. The guy is in Germany now, pressing on Facebook with his wife. And I know when the guy came, used to live in Lugbe then, young boy, Nelson trained him. And boom. That's what this EMP is trying to, Nelson is trying to democratize or what's the word, make it mainstream because it can't be too elite or exclusive, but work ethic. But the problem with this work ethic is it's not easy because it comes in different forms, shapes, and sizes. One of the killers of work ethic is offense, entitlement, existing success, legacy success. The example I gave with the guy whose father, is comfortable. And I mean, most Gen Zs, their parents are okay, are well to do, or some of them. So there's still some wealth circulating within the system. The ones that are bold enough to have left their parents, fine. But most of the people there, they have some privileges. So work ethic is, I don't know, I want to learn. And whatever the price I'll pay. It's not yes, you carry your boss's bag if you have to, for the bosses that like their bags to be carried. But the point is, it's not the one that 6 o'clock, squeeze me your face, calls you on Saturday for a meeting, with your girlfriend in the movies, or vice versa, boyfriend, and you're forming work-life balance. Work-life, my foot. You understand? Why is this guy talking like, yes, work while you are young. Is it when you're 40 you want to be doing work-life balance? I mean, oh my goodness. What people don't realize that the way the thing is designed is you can become king at 30. Then you now become financially free. Financially free is you determine when you work. You don't work to survive. You work for pleasure. You understand? So you don't work to survive. You work because you are enjoying the work. So one of my friends, a very deep man, he called me yesterday and he said, people don't know the value of work. That work, we're supposed to work from a position of rest. You understand? That's why he said on the seventh day, God rested. His rest was not that he was tired, but it means he had stopped working. So you work until you feel like you don't want to work. So you're enjoying your work. You understand? You think Tiger Woods, and that's why the people that understand that principle are very successful. Look at Tiger Woods. His work, he said, you carry your bags, you are going to the office. His own is going to the golf club. How can somebody's work be playing, swinging things around the place? Yes, it's a bit tedious and it's difficult, it's physically strenuous, but it's like saying I wake up in the morning and play PS5 and that's my work. Or is it tennis players? I mean, some of you enjoy doing sports. That's some people's 9 to 5. Or is it AY life? Or is it Two-Face? He walks into his studio and he's singing and shaking his head and moving around and whatever else he does in the dark. Boom. That's his work. Or movie stars. They're acting. This are the funniest. They are holding themselves, kissing and I think that's work. I say, I went to work. That's work. So you are there sweating it out. So work is a place of rest. But work ethic is what gets you to that point. So, but when they all started their careers, they had to learn. They worked hard. They were humble. That now got them to a point where they now, okay, they have arrived. And then they can now. So what I'm telling you guys is this. When you're in your 20s, in your 30s, no, even 30, already, it's too, you're not, I mean, you have, time is against you because by then you're under pressure to get married. And once you get married, your choices are now narrow. You have to make decisions with people in mind, But once you're in your 20s, oh boy, go and be a slave. Go and just walk. Go and submit. Just go and collect skill. Don't go and be doing photocopying up and down government office. Please reject government work except the Lord says otherwise. Look for small firms, decent, where your guy is a knowledge subject matter expert. Submit, grab the guy's head, collect it, put it in your own head. That is the secret. Some of you know the presidential candidate for EDC, former presidential candidate, because I think he lost the primary. That was my boss. That's the guy that trained me. We started from his dining table in Ikoyi, and then we rose to where we are today by the grace of God. Worked with him for 3 years, gave him 6 months notice before I resigned. But he trained me. When we started our career around 2007, it was a global financial crisis. So it had not reached Nigeria yet. The wind had not reached Nigeria. But a lot that already hit America. People were losing their jobs. So a lot of consultants from abroad, McKinsey and co, they all sort of, they were not laid off, but some of them were asked to just take a break. So a lot of them rushed back to Nigeria, and he had a lot of friends. So he closed the deal with a major bank, big project. And then I was privileged at that time, after doing 1 year service with him, where we used to work 12 hours, 14 hours, sometimes 16 hours. I did 24 hours one day. The people I was living with, they were telling me, this guy is using you. And my mother will call me from Abuja and my poor mom. My mom didn't know better. I mean, you can't blame her. And that's another dangerous thing. Your parents are also stumbling blocks to some of you. You have to be prayerful because sometimes your parents can mislead you. And sometimes they can also lead you right. It's your parents that will take you to Eli to make you priest. Or it's your parents that will send you to the battlefield to meet Goliath. Or to go and give your brothers food. And then your journey will start to the palace. But at the same time, these same parents can also be a hindering block where they will now mislead you. But depending on where they sit in the scheme of things, you have to be sensitive enough to decipher. So my mom at that time, she was like, hey, go to take a job at the bank, Zenith Bank, all these banks. They're all great, amazing. And the truth is, at that time, I knew that I couldn't do that. That was not what I was called to do. When I was working with Chuka, no disrespect to any banker here. I'm just saying that was not my plan. And I understood that that job sometimes could be like factory work because it is very tailored to specific functions. So you're either in risk, you're in operations, you're in marketing, you can be a bit flexible. If income, you can be flexible. Strategy, you can be flexible. But for some people, it was narrow. And I knew that was not what God, now it was a good career and it has built some really, really good people, amazing stuff, I must say. But I felt that was not for me. And I'm please not discouraging anyone, because, you can pray to God to lead you. But she didn't, but me, I knew when I was working then what I was learning. I mean, these guys used to take us to club, not only once in a while. I went once in a while. But but the time I went, we went to meet Achaliki. Achaliki is the director in McKinsey, African director. You know, we met with him. Hi, it's my colleagues, blah, blah, blah. That was the exposure. I was on the same table with people who had worked in McKinsey, JP Morgan, Merrill Lynch, Booz Allen, top 4, global consultant from the world. You understand? That was in depth intellectual exposure. And how did I get there? I was University of Abuja. What did I finish with? I mean, nothing to write home about. Yes, not because I was dumb, but because I lost interest. I mean, we used to go to school there and sit on the floor and some other crazy things. But anyway, bottom line was we were able to connect from that level, kept the relationship going, came to Lagos, dining table. And I remember when I was in NYSC, when I went to NCCF for service that day, I met this particular guy who came from a childhood friend, and he said, and you have to also be in the right place at the right time. And the guy said, anywhere you want to walk, anywhere. That was another temptation. Meanwhile, I'd already told Chukwuka I'm coming, Mr. Moye. So, boom. I now went, so it sent me straight to the secretary of the state coordinator, like the man in charge, to our office. She's the one that determines where people, she can move paper anywhere, anything you want. And then they now did something, and now, so she now said, where do you want to sell? I said, CUC Consulting, blah, blah, blah. She said, man, that doesn't even sound correct. Does it even exist? I said, madam, don't worry. I know where I'm going. She said, are you sure? I can give you any bank? I can give you. I said, madam, leave that matter. I don't want that. You understand? So it was a case of work ethic, attitude, behavior, disposition. Remember, all these stories I'm telling you, me now, I'm starting all over again because I'm becoming a tech founder. So the likes of Inyaboyaji, I'm trying to kiss their feet. The likes of Tayo Bamiru Max, I'm learning from them. Like, I'm going to private sessions and they're teaching me. People raised $25 million. $25 million. Do the math. Yes, $25 million. $1 million is 600 million plus times 25. Somebody can calculate it and put it on the chart. So that is what they raised. So, I mean, I have to learn, and I'm not following them because I want to raise $25 million. No, I'm learning because what we are trying to do with human capital, all these things I've lamented, I want to scale it. You understand? So if you want to build an Instagram of knowledge, then of L&D, then you have to learn from those guys who understand investors' language. So that's work ethic, right? Let's look at the approach, the thinking, the documentation, and the execution. The thinking, documentation, and the execution. What does that mean? I'm going to talk to you about thinking. I'll just teach you one principle in thinking. Then for documentation, I'll browse over it and I'll conclude. I may not say much on execution because it's just really about attitude and just being obedient. But the key thing you need to understand is that the earning power starts from here. It's from the people that think. So if I say think, now some people think I'm saying think and grow rich. No, that's not what I'm talking about, please. I will run through my slides. And please don't ask me for this slide. These are not going to be, these are some, I will talk about them later, don't worry. So let's begin. I would like to teach you a bit about critical thinking, which is a problem we have in this country. So your little niece just got hired by Chevron and global office, but also got a fully paid scholarship to Harvard Business School. She desperately needs your advice. What would you advise her to take? So some of you on this call, let me just put someone on speaker here for me. Who would you say? Ifo. I just picked randomly. After you, Farida Yakubu. What would you tell your niece? Which one she should pick? Let's start with phone. Hope you're not, there's people that don't train to put their phone somewhere and then do other things. I've been guilty of that also. In fact, I used to get ready for work on Zoom call. From the getting bathing, preparing, make up, everything. Well, I don't make up. I mean, everything, boom, till I'm on Zoom. Yeah, anyone? Are you not there? Okay, if you can answer the question, raise your hand. What about Farida? Hello? Is Farida there?
I think people are answering in the text message, so.
Okay, do your coupon. Please go ahead. You can unmute, Odunaya.
Okay, so I read the Chevron. She should pick up the job at Chevron. You know, we can learn on YouTube now, so that we are underutilizing YouTube. She can anything she wants to learn in Harvard. She can learn. She will just give it that for power. She should pick up that Chevron global.
Chevron. Okay, thank you very much, Odunaya. All right, good. Thank you for your answer. All right, so let me respond now. I'm teaching critical thinking, and the question is asked because the problem we have with critical thinking is this. You see, most of our thinking is distorted, partial, uninformed, or downright prejudice. You may have said Chevron because, I'm sorry to say respectfully speaking, maybe because of your financial status, you may be like, you're already looking at the money, 4-5 million naira a month, and so on and so forth. For the ones that took Harvard, they may come from a family of intellectuals where they glory in certificates and they just like the glamour of, I went to Harvard Business School, and the prestige. Those are the things that are playing in their mind. It's not necessary. They're not thinking critically. You see, let me take this off. If I went to the Southeast now and I asked them, do you guys think Buhari has performed? There's no critical thinking that they used to answer my question. I'm not saying Buhari has performed, please, because it's a second dimension. Before you think I'm a fan of Buhari, I'm not a fan of Buhari, please. All right. We all are in regrets, if you get what I mean. But the point is, there's that prejudice already that will not allow them to think. But you know what? You may go and check and find out that he's the only president that has done most of the capital project, the most capital projects for the Southeast when compared to all the other presidents that have stayed there. Yeah, of course, you may say that may not be enough. But the point is that critical thinking is, nobody is really critical. Human beings normally don't think critically. And in the work you do, or in your career and your life, one of the things you have to work very hard on is critical thinking. So let me tell you how to make this decision. And that's my example in teaching critical thinking. So to decide, you have to look at, what do you want in the long term? 1. 2, which of the options is suitable? 3, which can I postpone? 4, what is the impact of each opinion? So somebody has maybe you're the only child. Your mom is a single mom. She's worked so hard to train you and bring you up to, and then suddenly you want to get up and say you're leaving the country to go to, you're getting up and you want to leave and go to Harvard and leave her alone. So there's that sense of, what do I do? I can't just leave my mom. So that decision may be what may be important to you. But for somebody else, the person wants to, they come from a very poor home and they really, really just need a breakthrough. You can't carry your big head and say you're going to Harvard. Forgive my French. Bear with me. Big head means you are trying to be very intelligent. You can't carry that head and go to Harvard. No. So at the end of the day, the decision-making criteria, you need to build out a list of the decision-making criteria. That is the beginning of critical thinking. So the critical thinking is, number 1, the number of perspectives you can build on an issue at a particular time. So if I say, I give another example. I was teaching one government parastatal where the average age were they were in their 40s and so on. But not average age, maybe minimum age 40. Most of them were middle 40s, 50s. And I asked them a question. Here you are, young. Here you are. You don't wear earrings as an elderly woman or a middle-aged woman. All your life, you don't wear earrings, you don't wear trousers. And then your daughter says she wants to get married and she brings in a guy who's wearing earrings. What would be your reaction? In this wedding, and she says she loves him, he's a great guy. I know some people started putting in the chat, he's dead on arrival. I was laughing, but look at critical thinking. I asked them 3 questions, and I'm sure this issue of earrings, some of you know where it's coming from, right? But don't worry, I'm not that critical. But so here are the 3 questions. So I asked them, number 1, critical thinking would ask the following questions. So what if, the guy comes, I know he's likely not to marry my daughter because I'm so biased to people like how can a man wear earrings? That's a question. Do you know that some cultures where men wear earrings? 2, what is the history of earrings? And who said earrings are only peculiar to women? When, at what point did we settle for earrings for women? only. And even if it's for women, why is it that some people don't even wear? Some women don't wear. Bingo. Second, so Arab, not Arabs, Fulanis sometimes, some of them, of course. I don't know if it's the mainstream Fulanis, but I know, in Abuja then, Kuje, where I used to stay with my parents, we used to see young boys wearing earrings. There's another sector where Bororo, the guys from Borno, that Chad, Niger, they wear earrings. The men wear earrings. And then there's one other one. Now, I'm not saying, of course, the likelihood that this person is any of these tribes is zero or very low. But I know that's question one. Now, that is a question to bring down the guard of the person. Second question. Okay, so peradventure, yes, the guy is dead on arrival, but who says that this will not be an opportunity for you to mentor the person? So this person walked into your life so that you can advise and counsel the soul. So at least you win one soul. Okay. The guard went lower. People are like, okay, maybe this makes sense. So you marry your daughter, but at least he came close to you. Why not mentor him? Why not counsel him if you think it's a big deal, if he has other problems? Then the third one, and more importantly, I now said, shouldn't you ask yourself, how did I get to a point where I raised a daughter who is able to go and bring a man who's wearing earring when she knows, even me myself, I don't wear earring? How did I miss it? So now you now look at yourself and evaluate yourself. So when I give them this perspective, they're like, that is critical thinking. It's called list of perspectives, criteria. So you don't just meet this in Harvard. It's not Harvard. It's not. It's a question of, okay, number one, what is my long-term plan? Now, for some people, they only need one of these four to decide. For some people, their own is not on this four list. They need to go further than four. That's why you begin to seek counsel. And the Bible says, in the multitude of counsel, there's safety. It means that when you're talking to different people, your options are expanding. So if you get to a point where you don't have enough people to give you enough quality options, then you may make a very wrong call. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you're following me. Are we together? I'm sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we are following, sir.
So that's my point. Please hold on, give me a second. All right, sorry. So I was saying that this is what critical thinking is. Critical thinking is having options. You understand what I'm saying? So this is the first definition. And I was the one that defined this, and I'm proud to say so. This is my own theory of definition, because I read a lot of definitions, but I never understood them until I began to live out the experience and I knew the meaning. So number one is the list of perspectives you can generate on an issue. That is critical thinking. Now, I only give 4 here. For some, they can go as much as 10. Just remember, there's something called analysis paralysis, where you now have to decide which of the options will be your major determinant. For some, they need to make it mathematical, attach weights to each option, and then do the calculation and then derive on the answer. That's for some really, when you're trying to decide whether to, I can imagine an APC or PDP will probably do that level of rigor. But for you, it may not require that. For some people, they'll say, I better go and sit down, I will just pray fast, and God will tell me the answer. And that's fine. God can tell you, pick the option. It's easy, and it's okay, no problem. And no disrespect. I'm not even saying that to mock you. It's actually the truth. It's a lazy way of getting your results, which is fine. Why would you want to sweat it? Just pray and God will tell you which one to pick. Yeah, fine, no problem. But I'm saying that for anybody, when you're in office, you can't tell your boss that, God told you this is the option you have to pick. So you have to be able to present critical thinking so that you get promoted. And your boss who may be hidden, when I say hidden, he may not believe in your religion. So I'm sorry to be specific. That's your own, your perspective. So you have to choose your options, if you understand what I mean. We're all religious in this country, but frankly speaking, my challenge is we have to get more critical. Let's keep religion aside and let's think. You understand? And I'm not talking about faith, and I'm talking about religion. Just doing things for. So that is the recommendation. Are you able to decide what options to take based on thinking logic? So this is the definition of, this is the first definition of critical thinking. Are we together? The second thing is, okay, this is another example. Before I go there, now, the second definition is when you take each option, please follow me. When you take each option, you now decide the list of points to consider. List of points to consider on each option. Which can I postpone? So if you say which can I postpone, so I can postpone. You can postpone Harvard, I'm sure, maybe for 1 year. You can, some will say, no, if you go to Harvard, you can come back and get the job at Chevron. Well, maybe the hyper, but now it's not guaranteed like that. Also, some will say, no, if I go to Chevron, I can make so much money, I can afford to go. True. But the idea is the things under each point will still need to be further dissected. And that is what this is showing us. Let's look at the second one. So police walk into a place and Mr. Axe's house, and they find out he's dead, and his wife says he was robbery gone wrong. And question, who killed Mr. Axe? Now, we don't have time. This is not a very long class. I've spent quite a lot of time, so I need to move fast. Wow, I started at 6, right? Only 1 hour. So, how much time do I have so that I start to tie up my points? Hello, how much time do I have? Okay. Sure, you guys will hear me.
Yes, sir, we can hear you. I'll communicate that to you, sir.
All right, okay, no problem. So I was saying, who killed Mr. Axe? Critical thinking. Here are the answers. His wife, an intruder himself. There's a fourth one that people like to add. You know, someone in the house, someone else in the house. Now, this is where the first definition is. Why, when, how. You know, use that to determine who probably killed the man. But you now have the options. Now, critical thinking is, you can see the way it's arranged. Wife, the intruder himself, the second person in the house. Someone may have another option. Now, why is this important? If you're a detective, you need to be able to lay out these options and then decide which one to go after first. So analytical thinking is measure quantity and quality, you know, to determine which answers are correct or are wrong. So you use analytical thinking to manage your list. So if I were to look at it analytically, I would say, well, what's the countenance of his wife? Did she take any life insurance? Blah, 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 all of that. You know, did she look remorseful? Did she look sad or she paid? Of course, you can't use those things to judge, but sometimes, you know, by the time you look at, she doesn't even look remorseful. She looks like next to you find out she's having, you know, she has a relationship with somebody else. You can just know, okay, she becomes a narrow suspect. Because don't forget, the police are dealing with thousands of homicide cases. So most times they usually have to prioritize. So they want the quickest link. It's like quickest indicator of what they need to do. Now, if it's himself, they need to start measuring, okay, how did he shoot himself? Was the kid, when you go to autopsy? Those are all analytical thinking related issues to make a decision or to decide what happened. All right, this is another one, but we don't have time to go over it. Now, this is my definitions, and I would explain in a moment. So critical thinking, who, what, and how, but more like the perspectives and the length of the list. So remember, I give you the Harvard example, the length of your list. So if I say, how do you make Nigeria a better place? Farida gives 20 points, 3 points. Eduayo gives 5 points. Somebody gives, at the end of the day, we reconcile all the points and we see how many points we have. Okay, we have 15 points. That is critical thinking. The length of the list, how much perspective, and each point must be distinct and unique, right? Now, it's always good to arrange the list based on relevance. You can't just go and put something off. To make Nigeria great, we need to work on area boys. That's a bit off. That's not a good point in the scheme of all the issues. But if you say something like, you know, we need to fix the political system, the economic system, social system, technical, legal, and then environment. Okay, we get it. I'm using a framework some of you are familiar with, but the point is, it is at least organized. Now, that is critical thinking, the number of perspectives and the length of the list under each perspective, like I explained to you guys. For analytical thinking, is a measure of what should stay on the list and what should not stay on the list. What should stay on the list and what should not stay on the list. So it talks about the relevance. Thank you, I've seen the message. It's relevance, compares, validates. So you determine what stays on the list. So when you remember this example, who killed the man? Critical thinking would, okay, this is a different question because I created those so that you guys will remember himself. So how you know it's himself? You have to analyze it to determine if and why he killed himself. All right, sorry, I'm using gross examples that may not, why is using this kind of big example? Well, so that you won't forget. Strategic thinking on the other side has to do with purpose. The whole idea is, okay, so, determine, it has a strategic outlook. The difference between strategic and operational is that operational is focused on getting the work done. Strategic is not getting the work done, it's getting the objective done, which is you've done your work. So we're trying to submit a proposal. Listen to this. Nelson hands over the task to Austin. Austin, we need to get this proposal out. Tomorrow is the deadline. Austin finishes his part. Nelson is out of town, but he gives instructions that we need to do. Nelson did not emphasize the strategy. He just said that we're submitting the proposal for a bid, and it's a very important bid to us. Austin finished, put it together, printed it, and is waiting for Nelson. Say, I've done my work, feeling good with himself. Please, Austin, this is just an example in case you're on the call. I'm just no, we don't have no prior conversation. Even though flesh and blood sometimes may not reveal this to me, but trust me, I'm just getting your attention, if you get what I mean. Nothing personal, direct. So he just says, hey, they're like, next day Nelson calls, it's 3 p.m. Austin, I finished. And you didn't tell me the ministry is going to close by 4 p.m. It's like, I finished my work. So I've done my work. I've been working overnight. I worked through the weekend. I finished. Okay, leave matter. The objective is to submit the bid. You get, and that's usually the biggest problem of this country. Everybody just wants to stop at their own. I've done my own. No, you can't just do your own. This MPMP is not just doing his own. It's going over and beyond. There's an objective in mind. So if you don't begin to think at that level, then you're not strategic. So all of you that are celebrating or upset with who won the election, the second party, APC. If you want to understand strategy, that's the gentleman to talk to. He has finished now. He has gone. He's greeting everybody. What is he doing? He's consolidating power, consolidating the party, bringing everybody together. Strategy. Strategic. You have an objective in mind. You're not just operational. Hey, I've done my work. I'm hardworking. You're not, please go and sit down. You're not ready. There's a long-term outcome. So until you contribute, so these people that contribute to the outcome, those are the ones that become leaders. They are the ones that are strategic. All right. I'll teach you one quick principle, and then I'll do one thing, and then we can go to Q&A. These are some frameworks you can go and learn. They teach analytical framework, critical thinking, all of that. You can use that. But let me teach you this one. Let me see. Mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive. What does it mean? This is what it means. Some of you get it, some of you won't get it. Don't want to say forget about it, but just follow me, right? You'll get it over time. Let me see. Mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive. This is a list of items. This is mutually exclusive. Together, they are software. Mutually exclusive. They have a relationship. They are mutual. The mutual, what brings them relationship is software. That's what their relationship, that's what defines their relationship, software. But collectively is exhaustive. It means I've exhausted all the list, all the things on my list, which is software. So it's like sets in mathematics, collectively exhaustive. Now, why do we teach this principle? We teach it because when we make a list, most times the list has overlaps. There's repetition. The thinking is not clear. But when you're able to distinguish and say only 3 options or 4 options, the man killed himself, it was someone in the house, it was someone outside the house. In fact, that is even a better option. So under the people in the house, there are 2 options: his wife and somebody else, whoever else, maybe the security man. If there was only the only second, and if there's nobody else, then it's only his wife that is in the house. So that would be the only option. But ability to distinguish clearly, declutter the thought is very important. It has applications. Maybe you're writing terms of reference, you're writing job descriptions, you're even designing a wedding plan. There's a way things would overlap and be cluttered. Critical, messy, unbundles our thinking and lays it out one after the other. Now look at this. That was the original list, but see what it has turned to. Let me give you an example. Let me pick somebody on the call. What if you take me and Austin and you put us together? What relationship do we have? You say we're men, we're dark-skinned, we have maybe of the same religion, maybe. You're listing the things that make us. But if you now take Deborah and throw her in the list, it complicates it. All the definitions you gave us, some of them will have to be dropped. Now, the way I'm explaining it, so you say, okay, you now change the vision. We're Nigerians, we're dark-skinned, we're all graduates. You now start looking for. But here's the thing: when you define the logic, which is this, once you define the logic, in this case software, everything under that list must be consistent. So when you are writing an essay and you say, Nigeria is in dire need of this, question, all the points you're going to generate to justify that Nigeria is in dire need of that must correspond with the header that you said. So when people read, they arrange things logically, but the moment your head jumps, that's why people love consultants and the way they write, because consultants have a methodical, logical way of stating their case. So you have employees who have been in an organization for years telling the MD something, and the MD is not listening, but suddenly a consultant shows up and boom, everybody's like, why is he listening to you? Because it's the way they think. And that's what I'm trying to teach you, which of course I can't even scratch. You understand? So maybe when we launch, because this course I'm taking you to is available on our LMS. I can tell Nelson we give scholarships, discounted scholarships. I'm a capitalist, by the way. Who would the parable of talent? Who would LOL? Who would? Yeah, you can come and listen. So I don't want to boy. I'm not also selling, but I'm just saying that I don't want to teach you something. So you live here with a skill, right? And in addition to all the other provocative things I said, which I apologize for anyone that may have offended. But you get my point, which is the logic. The logic is software. So when I'm saying I'm writing a proposal, and I say that we want to offer you the following options, services or solutions, and these are the 5 solutions. Then you list your 5 solutions, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you make sure that everything in that solution under each point is consistent. Sorry about that. All right. So I was talking about the logic, which is what I've defined. You state the logic and then you define. So that's missing. Mutual exclusive collective exhaustive. And there you go. So what is this? Classification. It has changed dynamics. Now, I'm using this example. Some of you are getting where I'm going, and you will find ways to apply it. But just saying that the way thinking happens, after is when you think critically. So you make the list and you define the logic. So the first thing is matter. This is how this changed. It was like this before. So I now threw in something. I brought in women, men, and children. I complicated it. So I now have to go back and change this, and then change this, create this, and then give them an overarching definition, which is what I just did now. Let me round up. Well, there's no time to go into some really, really long, deep stuff. Let me do this. Before I go, I'll teach you one secret. Some of you know this. You've been with me. Now, how do you build context? I'll tell you a secret. You see these things I wrote down here? Become an avid reader of news. You build context. Now, I will recommend the following. You can do Nairametrics, because this is one old slide, or Business Day. You do BBC. BBC.com, BBC podcasts. I will show you both on my phone. BBC.com, BBC podcast. Now, what does this do? You read the information. I'll send this slide across, but browse this particular slide. Browse the headlines. You need to know, select articles, observe new words, concepts, thoughts, references. You cover these areas. Political, economic, because everything about the world is around these things. Nigeria is at a standstill now because of the polity. So you need to have an idea. You need to think about the implication of who wins the election and how that will affect your business or your boss or your employer or your employee. Do you understand? Some of you don't know that the moment security is restored, where prices of real estate had dropped, they will rise again. So some people that are strategic will look at, business, either of the two candidates, the top two candidates, right? And I know there are other ones that people are vying for, and I just hope they're not social media stars. We wish them well. We want the best, but sometimes we also can't be wishful. We have to be strategic, and some of them, these other guys have paid so much of a price that it will look unfair to just suddenly wish. But let's not get into that. Where I'm going is, and I'm not supporting it, please. Where I'm going is, you need to understand the political climate very well as it affects business. Russia and Ukraine war is at the brink of causing another global financial meltdown. Sorry, global economic meltdown. It's that threatening. So you need to pay attention to that. Economics, macroeconomics, and all the other indicators and how they affect business. Business itself, inflation, trade, which is part of macroeconomics. And then social, cultural, environment, how people behave, people's disposition. You understand? And so on and so forth. But it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. Now, when you read this, typically one article can have all these features. CNN, BBC, arts, travel, stories, politics. One article can have all of this. Last one. And then I would so a typical journalist would write an article with 25 years experience, lived in 7 cities across 15 years, over the last 15 years, interacted with 3 colleagues with similar backgrounds, has 2 degrees and a master's, researched 7 other books, has experience in 2 religions. He sits down and he writes that article. So when you read an article or you read a newspaper, this is what you're interacting with. You will never travel to the 7 cities, or you may not travel to the 7 cities, or yet, you don't have 25 years experience. You will not meet his other 3 colleagues or read their articles, but their opinion and perspectives over the years combined. That's why when they tell you someone, a group has 100 years experience, maybe when they say 25 years each, 4 men that have 25 years experience sit together, they say they have 100 years. They're trying to tell you that, listen, it will take you 100 years to figure out what these guys have figured out. But they all came together and dished it out to you. Some of you have read one, you can't even finish one book. You understand? And you also need to know what works for you. If you're a reader, read. If you're a listener, listen. Go and get audiobook, sorry. It will help you. It will cover a lot of ground. In fact, if you live if you're always on the road, or you're busy, or you're a driver, or you do jobs that are so this is the secret to building context. It's not the only secret. And anybody think about those guys that read newspapers, maybe your dad, parents, all that. Their perspective and their context is always amazing. So it builds your capacity. I'll show you one last example and then we'll take Q&A. I'll explain my point. And these guys are not paying me. I don't work for them. But I always tell them, BBC is one of the richest sources. After YouTube, for me, BBC is the next. BBC has a ton of data. So when you come to BBC, look at this, look at all the tops. I'll use my tablet. I wish I could use that. It's still work life. Just look at the articles there. You know, the rise of mocking work on TikTok. Okay, articles. What's this one? The pay gap. Okay, no, this one. so I know somebody this one. Equality. I mean, interesting perspectives, right? You know, exposure. But you know what it's building? It's building perspective. And I'll explain that because you're not, except you're trying to be a local champion. You understand? It shows you, let me click future. You know, interesting. So tomorrow you don't know what project you'll be working on. Do you understand? So tomorrow you're working with a plastic company. And then you just remember this, oh, I read this article. This is what builds. How do we teach you? This will be an interesting conversation. You know, how do you find rich your vocabulary, your English, your everything. Everything. All right. So thank you guys for listening. All the other stuff I represent and I can't share, don't worry. That's what I'm working on. It will be on our learning management platform when we start. Thank you for listening. And for anyone who may have said some very direct things, you know, it's my style. It's not. I'm not controversial. I'm not deliberately controversial. I'm just. It's my own style. So I get your attention. If I come in and bore you, critical thinking is the process of aligning. You guys will sleep off for me. So I think those are the considerations. Thank you all for listening, and I look forward to your contributions.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tarfa.
But please, again, my apologies. Like I said, I may have said very sensitive things. It's not direct. It's just my.
You haven't said anything sensitive at all.
You know me and you are kindred spirit, so you may not be like that.
I don't think you have. But can we take questions, comments, observations, any feedback on this session? Okay, Chidesha is a wonderful lecture. Feedback, comments, observations. Thank you very much, Dr. Tarfa. Dr. Tarfa has been a friend for many years, I think going to 12 years now. And a lot has happened within those 12 years. There's been a time of growth. He has been one of those we've looked up to in the advisory space. Dr. Tarfa, it's always a pleasure to have you speak to folks and to be part of any session you are facilitating. So I want to thank everyone who has stuck to the hours, that we have allocated to this. Normally we do 4 to around 7:38, so we are very much on time. And like you agree with me, it's going to be demanded. This is just Saturday. I'm going to have the same amount of hours tomorrow, Sunday. Barrister Max will be coming. I think I can stop recording now. Barrister Max will be coming, and Barrister Max is also